Today, Cooking Mama isn't finally over yet. This is CheckPoint. That's right. There's even more Cooking Mama stuff happening.
That's right.
It keeps on giving.
You can't have too much of a good thing, except when you clearly have.
Is it a good thing?
Is it more that you can't have too much of a good thing, but you can definitely have a lot of a really badly made game?
Oh, yeah.
You can't have too much of a good thing. This is not a good thing. Yes. That does not apply to this particular circumstance. However, that is true. Hey everybody, how's it going?
Hello.
Welcome to the ChillPoints.
Just realized I always forget to open chat, and I should probably not keep forgetting to do that. All right.
And also, for those of you who were complimenting the music of the opening there, that was a couple of tracks from the Road Quest soundtrack, including the theme for the fursuit vehicle. Which is quite a funky number. I like that one.
I really like that he leaned into the 70s cop aspect of our car.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was good, wholesome fun. The Road Quest. Hey, you know what would be nice? If you're looking for something to do, just put Road Quest, rewatch Road Quest. Put it on in the background. See our beautiful province. Travel vicariously.
Exactly. You can't travel like that at the moment, but you know what? You can at least look at stuff. Look at pretty pictures.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. I think after everything calms down a bit, there'll be a real resurgence in local travel.
Ooh.
I hope so.
Cool.
All right. So for those of you who don't know, or perhaps if you've just seen CheckPoint on the Loading Ray Run channel, this is ChillPoint, where we're just going to chat about the stories that will eventually make their way into CheckPoint. Because, of course, during the current pandemic, it is a remote ChillPoint. And we're actually going to be recording the CheckPoint later on today, which will be turned into an episode on YouTube tomorrow. So look forward to that. So we'll talk about some of the stories, and I guess what we've been doing actually for the last couple episodes is doing kind of a table read of some of the stories that will make it into CheckPoint. And then we can also talk about other silly things that are happening that won't make it into the episode of CheckPoint.
But that we definitely do have opinions about. Don't worry.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
They're just
so many opinions.
Yeah, not necessarily, or we couldn't think of anything funny to say about them, or at least like a cohesive. Sometimes these stories are like too complicated to turn into like a little 30-second, 45-second like story.
Yeah.
So shall we start with the sort of a table read of some of the things?
That sounds great.
Yeah, hold on. My camera is kind of high up. I was adjusting it before we started. We've discovered in all of this that oops, nope, that's the wrong way. That my camera is likes to sort of reset to like a strange level of zoom. There we are. And does that.
I feel like a lot of people in the world are learning the really the detail of the various quirks of both their cameras and the variety of video conferencing apps that are important for our livelihoods now. I'm certainly learning all sorts of. It's like there's no the what is the best video conferencing app has a lot of answers depending on what you are trying to do and what kind of circumstances are, what hardware and software the other people are running. It's surprisingly complicated.
Mm-hmm.
So,
All right, let's do it. Can I read the Pokemon story, the Pokemon Go story, since that's kind of typically what I do?
go,
Fish?
go ahead.
Yeah, that sounds great.
All right. Physical distancing and working from home have generally seen upticks in active player numbers for most video games, but I'm going to tighten that up a bit. But not for Pokemon Go, Niantic's monster catching money spinner, which, as the name implies, is all about going outside and meeting with friends, aka the actual literal opposite of all current health advice. So, among the many tweaks and changes they've made so people can still play the game from the relative comfort of their couch, Pokemon Go's annual Incense Day will be seeing a change where, as a player, you can use the game's incense item and let the Pokemon flock to you. Forthcoming are changes that will allow players to raid from home and even get items without spinning Pokestops. And so continues Pogo's eventual decline into a clicker game where you'll log on every day to read a spreadsheet list of all the trash mons with bad IVs you've received overnight.
Yeah, yeah. There isn't much way to get around the fact that, like, Pokemon Go basically can't exist in the current world. Like, the game that was Pokemon Go has to basically completely change to a different game
They definitely have to pivot, yeah.
in order to function in this world. Like, their entire reason of their entire raison d'etre
Yeah.
is gone. Like, they can't do it.
Last night I was definitely trying to figure out how to work the phrase raison d'etre into this story. I've changed the first sentence. Physical distancing and working from home have generally led to people playing more video games, but not for Pokemon Go. But not Pokemon Go.
Yeah, nice.
It's just you can see this is real time. Like, just is there a way to say what you're saying in fewer words to make it clearer?
Yeah. Okay, yeah. You're watching the editing process live. It's weird for people who don't know, and maybe if you've seen some of the chill points or the crap shoots we used to do, it comes up too. Is that stuff that sounds fine written, when you actually sort of say it out loud, can sound different or seems more awkward than otherwise. So that's why it's important to read things out loud sometimes.
Yeah, that was something that Molly and I struggled with for the panelists. Is you'd have this beautiful, perfect paragraph, and then we'd test read it, and we'd be like, "Oh." Like, not like delete the whole thing, but it's just like, okay, there's like having 3 elegantly stacked clauses, like, you know, like a perfect pyramid of jokes is great in prose.
Yep.
But when you read, it just goes on for too long. You can have so many fewer things. Also discovered that the hard way, doing the intros for By Law and Order.
And you don't realize stuff about, like, you know, certain word choices or just like words that like sound similar together can sometimes be really weird. Like, you sort of get unintentional, like, not even rhymes, but like unintentional weird sound stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Can I read? I want to read the one that I wrote last night.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Do you want? How about if I read this NASCAR one and then I read my next one, and then you can read the final one, the Valorant story?
All right, sure. I don't care.
All right. Excuse me. I should have had a drink this morning. People who drive NASCAR are admittedly very good at making the car go brrr, brrr, brrr. That's how that goes. They are admittedly very good at making their car go brrr. They may not be great at doing the whole words good. Following last week's story where NASCAR driver Bubba Wallace lost his emu oil sponsor for rage quitting in NASCAR's iRacing tournament, now driver Kyle Larson has lost his much more impressive sponsor of Chevrolet for his much more impressive faux pas of saying the N-word during NASCAR's iRacing tournament. Larson, a graduate of NASCAR's Drive for Diversity initiative, has been suspended without pay and benched by the league. So let this be a lesson to other athletes transitioning to gaming during this pandemic. Just because you're acting like a gamer doesn't mean you get to talk like one.
Yes, the heated gamer moment.
Yep. I'm just like that phrase is infamous now.
Yeah. Which is great, I'm so glad that that's now like associated with gamers in particular.
Yeah.
That's great. But there's another good example. You write the words you write a word BRRRRRR in the script. But how is the brrr actually going to sound? Do you want it to sound like a fart? Do you want it to sound like an engine?
The reference to the meme where it's like, aha, money printer go brrr, right? Like, I want to roll my R's. I don't want to just go brrr,
Right.
I want to brrr. So, yeah, that's all down to delivery, obviously. So that's probably Graham's story to read later today, I bet.
Yes, well, Graham wrote that story, so he's gonna read it.
All right.
And apparently he has now been fired, actually. So we should
Just straight up, you're not working for NASCAR anymore?
We should double check that and maybe update the story before we record it. It's the other nice thing about doing the recording after this, whereas usually we do it the other way around. Yes, Graham's suspension has turned into firing. He just can't play NASCAR games very well. I'm sorry.
I wonder if that's going to be... I mean, that has to be an ongoing thing that's going to happen, like in all of these esports things where they're dragging in people who don't do this, that we're just going to see more and more fuck-ups, really. Like,
so the question is, like, normally when you're in your car driving NASCAR...
Are you just shouting slurs the entire time?
Yeah, like... Maybe like they've got a mic, but that mic only goes to like their pit crew, right?
Yeah.
So who knows what they're saying as they're going around the track?
It could be incredibly abusive to the people in the pit.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
Who knows?
According to Decaped, in this guy's case, it wasn't even like a heated gaming moment, which is no excuse.
Yes.
But it wasn't a heated gaming moment. It was apparently just like no. Yeah, I mean,
N-word.
To be fair, if you're going to use it in a heating gaming moment, you probably use it casually as well. Otherwise, why the hell would you ever say that?
Yeah, it's true.
But, geez. Ugh.
I'm scared because, like, when it comes to words that I know that I shouldn't say out loud, I already know the word. And sometimes I get fearful that I'm like, well, what if it just comes out of my mouth for no reason? Like, there's just like something breaks in my brain and I say a terrible thing. And I'm like, why the hell would I even say that? That's not who I'm trying to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that fear of like, hopefully that's the thing that keeps you in check, right? That your brain's fear of knowing that word and saying it for no reason is strong enough to keep you from saying that word ever. You're not supposed to be part of your thought process, right? That's the whole point.
I find my thing is like for swearing, like the F word or whatever, I'm more inclined to do that like when I'm just like surprised by something.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm really angry and so I have like time to think about things, I'll usually get less. I'll be like, fiddle faddle. When I'm like, oh. Because that's what I can really stew in it, as opposed to being as to just like being surprised by something.
All right.
All right. Next one.
How about this Cooking Mama story then? All right. Dust off your virtual spatulas, gustatorians. We're not done with Cooking Mama yet. Office Create, the IP owners of Cooking Mama, took to the court of public opinion this week, giving the world a press release that is sweet like manna from heaven. Office Create's stance is that Cookstar is, quote, an unauthorized release in breach of Planet Entertainment's contract. According to Office Create, the contract states that the game had to reach a certain threshold of quality, and judging from reports, Cookstar did not pass that threshold. On top of that, Planet Entertainment listed an upcoming PS4 port of Cookstar, which was definitely not part of said contract. So on March 30th, Office Create immediately terminated Planet Entertainment's license due to what they call, and I quote, an intentional material breach of the license contract, which is the kind of legal language you don't use by accident. All incredible allegations, to be sure. So if you thought that Planet Entertainment would simply stay mum and prep to be sued, well, guess what? Planet Entertainment responded through a press release on the Cookstar Twitter account, Jesus Christ, that they followed the exact approved design and, quote, that design is the exact game on Nintendo Switch, and also, quote, by contract, Planet is fully within its rights to publish Cooking Mama Cookstar. Or in layman's terms, nuh-uh. They followed up with, quote, there is no active litigation or ruling that prevents Planet from publishing the game. And in layman's terms, that is sue us. I dare you. That's the stuff. Now we got a good old-fashioned playground slap fight. I don't know who, but one of these parties is going to need better lawyers right now. Hey,
that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Can I make a suggestion? You have the phrase "in layman's terms" twice. Is that
That is on purpose?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's because the repetition of it I liked.
Oh.
My first thing, my first thought is the like, wait, you can sue somebody for making a bad game? It's like, I have a lot of people that I would like to sue for making it.
It's weird because it's like Office Create owns the IP, and they're in this position of, we weren't going to make the game.
Right.
But they must have made the games previously. Or at least somebody closer related to them did that.
Is it just me? Is Office Create like the most boring? Like, that's definitely like a office supply store or something. Like, it's just a very boring video game developer name.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. It's I don't know. Well, I mean, they changed their name too that one time. So that must be,
because they used to be just called Cooking Mama or something, didn't they?
Well, like, I mean, if you go to the Wikipedia article, I think this is hilarious. The developer of Cooking Mama is Cooking Mama Limited, except that it's like they were originally known as Office Create, but now they're again known as Office Create, apparently. So that, I think that needs to get updated in the Wikipedia thing as well. It's like, oh my god, it's very confusing.
Yeah, it's like the design is the exact game. So I guess they're like, look, here are all the design documents you sent us. This is the game we made. You never said anything about not making switches overheat, okay?
Yeah.
We've looked all through this document. Nothing says... It's just like... you can follow the design document and still make a bad game. I guess we should have said also make it good somewhere in the design document.
Yeah, also make it so it doesn't like kill switches. That's all we ask.
But yeah, I like that we've moved on from that these like is secretly mining bitcoins or whatever. That's not happened. Like, nobody thinks that anymore. It's just not
it's
a very
bad.
well. It's just not a very well made game, and they're suing each other for who's responsible for that.
Now, they haven't actually filed lawsuits yet, but that's got to be coming.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it might not be happy right away, just because I would have how many people would be like, yeah, we'll convene court to file a lawsuit about a cooking video game right now.
Yeah.
But like, this is going to drag on for a long time.
Even the choice of venue was what got me about this, because I was like, wait a second. If Office Create's alleging all this stuff, and they've already said you're breaching your contract, we've terminated your license, you're not allowed to sell this stuff anymore, and Planet's like, you don't get to do that because we have the right to sell this because we made this under contract and we didn't break the contract, so you're alleging something that isn't true, so we have to fight that out in court. I'm like, if I was Office Create, a Japanese company, I would probably want to fight this in Japan. not in any other country in the world where this thing gets sold, because I would speak the language. I would have a legal team that actually, knows all the ins and outs of how Japanese IP law works. That's where I would fight it. Planet Entertainment probably wouldn't want to do that, but who knows?
Oh, Kushinoki says, would you say this lawsuit's been simmering for a while?
I mean, maybe behind the scenes, Maybe we didn't know.
It's maybe a little half-baked. I mean, there's lots of ways you could go on this in terms of, headlines. It's just like... And it's like Cooking Mama, right? It's not like for one thing, it's not even a sequel. We're talking like the 4th or 5th game in a series. It's not like there was going to be amazingly innovative gameplay. Like, the design document for this is look at the past games and just do that again.
Yeah, because they made like Camping Mama and Gardening Mama and Babysitting Mama. Like, they don't have to like create a wider swath. This is just a new Cooking Mama game. Nothing had to be reinvented here. No new innovative. Like, you can't say that vegetarian food is an innovative addition to the franchise, and yet that's one of the things. It's like, this is a brand new thing you can do, and it's like, it's just another way of representing the same food. It's so I don't know. I'm hesitant to believe that they have any sort of that it's like, we've done all this amazing stuff that's outside the design document, and they had no problem with that. So why are they saying that we've not done our job properly? And it's like, I personally, I'm not a betting man, and therefore I won't bet money, but I would bet that this comes down on the side of Office Create. They're going to be the ones who emerge victorious here, but we'll just see how long it drags on for.
I'm excited to follow up on this, and I'm sure we will
in a few months.
Yeah. This is the kind of thing that like 2 years from now, like, remember that story? It's just been like quietly working its way through the court systems for the last 2 years. All the companies that are involved are now gone.
Yeah.
Only the lawyers remain.
Two corpses fighting it out in a court. Somebody says, Rith the Awakener says, whoever wins, we lose. No, whoever wins, we win. We at CheckPoint win.
Yes.
We get to enjoy seeing this slap fight. Just kind of roll on. Because I'll be honest, I don't give a shit about Cooking Mama Cookstar as a video game, and I think that Office Create probably would prefer that we not give a shit about this game either. Like, which is stupid, because that this means any copies that made their way into the wild are going to be like, maybe not PT level of sought after, but people are going to be like, oh, I got to get a copy of that because it's no good. It's going to be rare.
They can you sell their Switch on eBay for $1,000 because it's got Cooking Mama on it.
Which you can't play when you change accounts anyway, because they're only locked to the account. So.
Anyway, Kathleen, you want to read the last one here?
Yeah, absolutely. Valorant, a new Overwatch from Riot Games, broke Twitch TV viewership records on its launch with 34 million hours watched in a single day. It features everything players might want from a character-based arena fighter, including anti-cheat technology that digs into your operating system like a tick. The so-called Riot Vanguard raised some eyebrows and concerns over how much control it can exert over your computer. Vanguard runs in what I'm newly learning is called Ring 0 of Windows, which I infer is something akin to the bottom level of hell where traitors go. Typically, only the kernel can operate in Ring 0, and the kernel not only makes finger-licking fried chicken, but is also part of the operating system that makes everything run the way it should. Now, there are two camps here. Riot, who feels that Vanguard needs that level of access because, well, that's where the cheat software runs because it needs kernel-level powers. And security experts, who feel that software should never have that level of system access because, what, are you stupid? Riot's in kind of a tough spot here because cheaters don't care about sacrificing the security of their system to run cheat software in Ring 0. So if Riot wants to fight it, they need access to your Ring too. But on the other hand, fuck that. When it comes to any technology, you have to be able to trust the source. But in Riot's own blog post defending this tool, they said this isn't giving us any surveillance capability we didn't already have. If we cared about Grandma's secret recipe for the perfect Christmas casserole, we'd find no issue in obtaining it strictly from user mode and then selling it to the Food Network. Which is an awfully suspicious and bad example because you're a video game. Why are you looking through my documents? Are you threatening me? Why are you even looking at my recipes folder? There's nothing in there but porn.
There's the confusion, slight confusion in the chat. Valorant is the name of the game. The technology is called Vanguard, the anti-cheat technology. So there's both V words, which is annoying, but there it is. So yeah, this is actually there. I read a really interesting article about anti-cheat stuff a little while ago, and was talking about because there's this problem where anti-cheat software is effectively, from the user's point of view, is kind of like malware, right? It's software that's running on your computer that theoretically you don't want. I mean, if you're a cheater.
Yeah.
And so the people who are running the software you have to deal with this situation where the people who who want to cheat, people who want to cheat are willing to have all sorts of resources devoted to cheating, and everybody else, whereas the anti-cheat software has to also have a lot of resources devoted to not cheating. But if you, but your anti-cheat software is going to be under a lot more scrutiny because the user doesn't want it there. So if your anti-cheat software is doing a whole bunch of behind-the-scenes stuff to analyze what the user is doing, that takes a lot of processor power that could be used to actually run the game.
Yeah.
And so if your anti-cheat software is killing the frame rate of the game, you're in trouble. Whereas the cheat software, there's a lot more, if the cheat software kills the frame rate of the game, they might be okay with that because they get to cheat.
Exactly. And it's such a rock and a hard place situation.
Mm-hmm.
The line of, Riot's in kind of a tough spot because cheaters don't care about sacrificing the security of their system. That's where what it comes right down to. It's like, how else do you fight this? Because user level software can't interfere. Like, user level anti-cheat software cannot interfere with sophisticated cheating software that's running in kernel mode instead of user mode.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, that you have to do this in order to stop people from cheating at your video game at this point. And I'm just like, that's not a good solution. And the only other way around it is to be like, well, if Microsoft plugs every hole, every exploit that they can possibly find, which they do, they work really hard to do that. And if they can plug every exploit they can find, then yes, you should be able to keep cheat software from being able to use those exploits to install themselves in Ring Zero, or install themselves to run in Ring Zero. But if they can't do that, because there's always bugs, then you're never going to be able to catch up without doing what they're doing. And
to be fair to Riot, they have been very upfront about this. This is not like a secret thing. They have posted, there's an article about it on their blog and everything. So it's not like they're secretly installing this without telling you. As far as they have said, and there's no reason to not believe them for this, that they've been, it's been heavily audited, and the idea is that it's as limited as possible. For instance, they say that the rootkit part, at least the kernel mode aspect of it, can't connect to the internet, and stuff like that.
But you kind of have to take their word for it. But I mean, people who have an invested interest will use Wireshark or something like that, probably to sniff packets to see is something actually going back to Riot servers when this thing is running.
Yeah, I mean, if people do find out that there's something nefarious going on there, that's going to be a real, it wouldn't be that hard. If you did care about it and you were sniffing the packets on the network, it wouldn't be that hard for them to get rumbled on it and basically completely get their, it would completely destroy their setup. So I'm assuming that they wouldn't, but
I definitely like the blog post. Like, obviously, it's to anybody who's like intricately familiar with like the nature of IT. The one thing that you never say to clients is, "Yes, I can read your email if I want to. I don't have time to read your email, and I don't give a shit what's in your email. But yes, if I wanted to, I could look at your email, that guy's email, the president's email. I could look at everybody's email if I wanted to. I have that ability. I don't have time to deal with it, and why would I even care what's in your email at this point?" And when you do that, people are like, because rightfully you should be a little nervous, right? That it's like, holy shit, you're right. You can read my email. I live my entire life at work thinking about the fact that you can't do that. And sometimes it's helpful, right? People slip up and they post things in their email, and then you end up getting an email from somebody at HR saying, like, I need you to lock down that. This has happened with me. I need you to lock down so-and-so's mailbox. We need a backup of it because we just let them go and they deleted everything out of their inbox, and we need you to get that back because we need to look for some stuff that we might need for a lawsuit against them. And I'm like, oh Jesus, what a day.
It's like, now you're glad I can read everyone.
Exactly, right? But just saying this isn't giving us any surveillance capability we didn't already have. It's just kind of like, you're not supposed to ever say that out loud. We're just supposed to know that it's true.
And I mean, and in the world of IT security, there's something that's commonly called like attack surface, which is basically just it's not like this thing isn't secure. It's this is another way that a computer could be theoretically compromised. Not even saying that it is or will be, but there's just more there to possibly have a problem. Perhaps there is an issue with it that nobody knows about yet, and a year down the line, a exploit will be found. Now, an update has to be pushed out to this thing, to everybody who's ever downloaded Valorant, and maybe it doesn't get to everybody, and now there's compromised things out there. So, there is definitely concerns about it. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. The only other thing I could think is that I guess you'd have to say to Microsoft, we need you to adapt your antivirus, like Windows Defender or whatever. We need you to be looking for cheat software for us now, because at least you run in the trusted levels. And I was like, God, then the cheat software has to keep fighting Microsoft, and Microsoft's like, our job should be to keep the stuff that only works with your game out of this shit, right? Like,
well, it's cheat software. Anti-cheat software is often particular to, like, the types of cheating that they're looking for is particular to the game too, right?
Yeah.
So, by the way, the kinds of access that this thing has is the same as other sort of what are called kernel mode drivers. So, like your graphics cards and the sort of stuff like that can also do all that stuff. So there's a lot of trust involved in using a computer. Like, implicit in it is you have to be, you trust Microsoft, you trust NVIDIA, you trust, like, otherwise none of the system works.
Yeah.
Or there's sort of a chain of trust where it's like, if you don't trust that Microsoft trusts NVIDIA and they have guaranteed that NVIDIA says what they say. But if you don't trust Microsoft, then you have to be using Linux or something.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're using Linux because you don't trust Microsoft, I don't really. Like, all of the stuff we're talking about is probably irrelevant to you anyhow, because you know how to solve your own computer problems. And you're probably not going to be installing cheat software because you know better, right?
Yeah.
Like, it just blows my mind that people are even willing to install cheat software, because it's just like, it's like, okay, so this software that lets you cheat, you're giving, like, the most intimate access to all levels of your computer, and you think that it's not going to also try to steal from you?
Yeah, weird to think that cheat software would be, like, trustworthy in some way, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's been definitely been a couple of instances that I think we've reported on CheckPoint of cheat software either doing Bitcoin mining, speaking of that, on people's computers, or doing, like, the like ransomware, locking people's hard drives and messing them up stuff.
Apparently, according to RX, we've done stories on, like, cheat software compromising people's computers, but apparently it is pretty much the number one way that computers get compromised nowadays.
Yeah, because you're literally, like, you're downloading it from an untrusted source by definition, because the only people that would trust that source won't, because it's cheat software.
Yeah. What a terrible position to be in.
Yeah, maybe don't cheat. Speaking of which, I don't think I marked it as a story because we talked about it a while ago, but there was an update to a story from the Battlefield, the new Battle Royale one from what's it called? Call of Duty Call of Duty something
Warzone.
Warzone, that they've at the end of March, they had banned something like 50,000 people.
Holy moly!
And now they just announced that they've banned another 20,000. So they're up to 70,000 people, or sorry, accounts, right? Probably bots and things as well.
Okay. That's kind of astounding. Like, oh, wow.
But this is why. This is why we can't have nice things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as some people, like, I've seen some people in the comments to this article talking about, it's like, yeah, this sucks. But on the other hand, I used to play CSGO, and now I can't because their cheaters are so rampant that it's just not, like, you can't play, like, it's not a fun game anymore.
Right. If you played any sort of level below how good a cheater can actually deal with you, it's like, well, then I just give up on the game altogether. And then that's a financial hit for a company, right? For them to be like, if we don't do anything about cheaters, then we are just going to hemorrhage players, the people who are actually paying money to be here.
And that's actually been used because I know Blizzard and I think other people have actually gone the legal route. Like, they've literally sued people who make cheats. Yeah. And that's the justification they've used, is that they're causing financial damage by making people not inclined to play the game by selling the cheats.
Yeah. We do have one final story, technically. It's in the coming up.
Oh, yeah. All right, coming up. People are still going on Tinder dates in Animal Crossing. Finally, a place where you're not going to be judged for taking your date to your turnip vault.
Look, even in the real world, I would be, if someone was like, I have a turnip vault, I would be kind of interested to. It's like, I want to know more information about this. I would like to see your turnip vault.
I have unusual tastes. Show me.
Yeah, you could change it to just like, finally, a venue where taking your date to a room full of skeletons is impressive.
Yeah. There's an article. The article I was reading about this was talking about that, and the interview they had. There's a woman they interviewed was talking about it, and was saying that, like, hey, the matched with somebody on Tinder and was like, let's meet up in Animal Crossing. She come to his place and notices that in his island it's a week later than it is on her island. Yeah. Highly suspicious.
Okay, we were having a discussion about this last night, and according to that article, it was just like the guy was like, here, take all of these resources, have some money, pay off your loans, no. And to me, I was like, ew, that's a huge put off, yuck. Because it just like comes across as like that overbearing, I'm smashing the romance button, now give me the result I want.
Yeah, give me those sex coins.
Yeah. Like, now send nudes. I paid off your loan in Animal Crossing. So, like, to me, that's like a huge, like, I don't want to. That's it. It's a big no perino for me. So I don't know if I'm just like super harsh. Yeah, a nice guy. TM says Pharaoh Bender.
I mean that. I feel like that's a very context specific kind of thing. Like, depending on how the circumstances and whatever, sometimes that can work, and sometimes, it's a tricky one. That
there's definitely a feeling with like being when you're rich in real life and being able to just kind of like get a little bit flash, right? Just like, like I'm buying dinner for everyone at the table tonight. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. There isn't kind of that sense of you feel good about it, but you're also feeling like I got to show off a little bit. I got to do this thing for all of my friends, and it's like you sure did.
Yeah.
You definitely did, and I hope that's just altruistic because. But even then, it's like if it makes me feel good to do that for everybody else, just because it's like I just wanted to show off tonight. It's like sometimes that's fun, right? To just get a little bit alpha and be like, I'm just going to do this thing that nobody would ever do. But it is a little creepy when it's like I'm going to take this person out and I'm going to try to impress them with my vast wealth. It is kind of like maybe you don't need to impress me with your wealth. Just impress me with who you are, right?
I mean, paying for stuff on dates is a thing, so it's like not. But there's a line, obviously.
I've never really understood
it's a context thing.
If I was supposed to always be paying for a date or not, or if I'm supposed to split, or if I'm supposed to bring it up, and I'm bad at dates. I'm glad I'm married. It's so nice to be married. It's our money, so we just do a thing. It's great.
Really, it removes it removes a lot of complications with Tinder, certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's nice to already be married to someone so you don't have to ever go on Tinder.
Yeah. It does mean that when people make jokes about Tinder, though, I find it hard to follow is swiping right swiping this way, or is it swiping this way? Starting from right, and then was it swiping right because you're swiping towards the right? And is that the good one or is that the bad one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know either. I
remember there was a discussion about this.
I think swipe right is yes.
Okay.
Swipe left is no.
When we were setting up for
Puncher?
For Now Kiss on Kathleen's stream, because we had the thing for do you want to keep going? Swipe. We had a little poll at the end. It's swipe left or swipe right, and we had a discussion about wait, which one's which? Which is the good one? All right. Well, let's talk about some stories. Some other stories.
That we didn't talk about.
Yeah. Starting with the beta for now. This has been demoed, but now it's the beta has been released for ray traced graphics Minecraft. You have to have one of the new GeForce NVIDIA cards. It's specifically made for for NVIDIA RTX cards.
Okay.
Because
they have hardware ray tracing.
That's the big thing that they're pushing now is the ray tracing, because I guess it's the thing where they have hit a certain limit in terms of actual just fast stuff, so they have to come up with other things. But the hardware ray tracing in Minecraft, because of course, as we know, the big appeal to Minecraft is the amazing visuals involved in the game.
And it sounds weird, but when you look at the pictures of the beta, it's astounding the difference.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if James or Serge or Uno have an RTX card, but I would love to see a 9 o'clock with this ray trace graphics. It seems like it would be super fancy.
Yeah.
You get to see all the details of the ground just before James hits it after falling off a cliff.
James, you're not going to expense an RTX card to the company. Don't even ask.
I do have to say that I'm putting a link in chat if you want to see the same pictures I'm looking at. I'm looking at all the pictures and they all look great. But you know what actually looks significantly worse? The ocean, which looks just like a step and repeat now.
Well, what I love about the ocean though is it looks like it's got the sort of transparency and the specularity and stuff of water, right? But presumably when you are in Minecraft, you go and you lift up, it's still like a cube of, it would look like a big cube of Jello or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it has to be able to do translucency and yeah.
I mean, the lighting is the thing that's the big, you get the shafts of light. That's sort of the big,
and
the big
glow
money shot.
From illuminated objects, things cast light.
It's really, really pretty.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't even have thought, because I'm I don't see why this would need this. And you look at it now, and I'm like, oh yeah, I don't know how you would ever go back if you've played this for a while. And this is the beta.
Yeah. Although it does apparently, the beta does have, at least in the review I was reading of it, does have some serious issues with or does have some like frame rate issues as you, especially if you like go up high and are like looking at a large area. So I don't know. Maybe we can get NVIDIA to sponsor our next Chunk Punch for massive, ray traced graphics chunk punching.
Yeah.
To really, so you can really, really feel that it's like you're right there in the chunk. All right, what else we got going on here? Oh yeah.
Okay, so a long time ago, do you guys remember there was Pokemon Yellow? That was like the Pikachu edition of Pokemon. We almost had a Pokemon Pink, which apparently was going to be about Clefairy.
Oh!
Apparently Clefairy was going to be like the Pokemon.
Yeah.
Before Pikachu was the Pokemon.
Yeah.
I mean, Clefairy's awfully cute, so I kind of see it.
Yeah. I mean, but so is Pikachu.
Yes.
And
I think they made the right decision.
Also, there was this big Pokemon hack a while ago, and the people who like actually broke into like Nintendo's like actual computer system have been like doling out the information that they got.
This wasn't just like some people left some stuff. This was like an actual hack that the people have like gone to jail for. But not before they disseminated the data everywhere.
So there's a good article on Polygon about it. And like it's just like there's very little to know about Pokemon Pink, but basically there's files that reference a game, call it, but there's no like sprites or maps or monster designs, but like people are assuming that, this was, gonna be the equivalent to Pokemon Yellow. But also, there was some early English names for some iconic Gen 1 Pokemon. For example, do you know what Vulpix was almost called?
No.
Foxfire.
Is it a fire type?
Yeah, it's a fire fox. Yeah. And Rapidash was originally going to be called Gallop. And Rattata was, and I know why they changed this one, Koratatavar, which is just hard to read and say.
Koratavar.
Koratavar. Yeah.
Yeah, that is hard to...
And and I feel like that downplays the rat aspect, which is really the main takeaway from Rattata.
Like, when I see stuff like this, I think, cool, somebody faked up an awful lot of interesting stuff. But the people in the fan community feel like, no, this is way too much source code. It's way too much stuff that, you don't release all of this stuff because it's too detailed. There's too much going on in what is essentially even just a prototype to be like, I guess unless you've been sitting at home for the last 15 years coding something yourself to be like, I'm going to make this thing and release it as a hoax. It's like, that's hardly worth it.
I guess this has a certain amount of provenance to it, too. Like, it's like this was a known thing that, like, for instance, people have gone to jail for. So it's like, it's a known thing that definitely did happen. It's not just like, my uncle works for Nintendo and he told me this.
Yeah. Apparently, according to some sources, like, there are still more things to be revealed from this like legendary Pokemon hack. But apparently, probably most of the interesting stuff has been revealed, but there's still like, I don't know, like almost half of everything that they stole is still secret.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah, that's what somebody is saying. And like, we'll see.
You say all the interesting stuff has already been disseminated. Oops.
Hey.
Has already been disseminated, but when you think about the amount of data people have pulled from Pokemon, like just the actual released games, like people are into just like as much info. It doesn't have to be interesting. People just want as much information about Pokemon as possible.
Which is funny because it's like that would make fascinating documentary fodder, right? Pokemon's one of the largest media properties in the world, and to be able to like deep dive into, because everyone, like, not everyone, but there are so many YouTube channels devoted to gaming history minutia. And to have somebody make like a feature-length thing to be like, let's talk about Pokemon and what it is, but let's focus on how they got from thinking about it to it actually making it like the first games coming out, like that kind of idea. I think would be a very interesting thing, and especially if you could get the kind of access you need to developers to be and drag information out of them. I think that'd be a very interesting documentary to have.
Yeah, yeah. Are you lonely? Do you want somebody to talk to? Well, how about CEO of Activision Blizzard, Bobby Kotick? He's waiting by the phone to call you. Hot CEOs in your area.
$1.99 per minute. Bella in the Isle of Man.
Apparently, Bobby Kotick sent out an email to all 10,000 Activision Blizzard CEO employees with his personal phone number and said, "Call me whenever you want for any issues about the health or concerns about the how we're handling the pandemic or anything like that." This was intentional. This wasn't just like he tried to send it to somebody and CC'd everybody or reply all or something by mistake.
According to him, he's had a few hundred calls already. So there's that.
Yeah, it seems like a recipe for issues. That like it's like the thing with like when the CEO like comes in and is like, I have an open door policy. Come in if you have any problems at all. Just come in. It's like, okay, we tried that and we didn't get any work done because everybody kept coming in and now I have to close the door.
Yeah.
Like I feel like this could get abused. Especially since if you send it to 10,000 people, somebody's going to leak that. Like, I'm assuming that I haven't looked because I don't care, but I'm assuming that phone number is like out there now. He's going to get a lot of pizzas.
A lot of people in the comments were like, "Look, if you work at Activision, it's not actually that hard to figure out how to get a hold of Bobby Kotick, right? He's the CEO of the company. He's going to come up in the exchange email list, right? But do you dare contact him? Right? Do you draw his ire towards you?
The Eye of Sauron.
Yeah. Sauron's actually really approachable, right? Like, you can see the eye anytime. It's like, yo, what's up, evil eye watching me from the sky? And it's like, who dare talk to me? Right? Like, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sauron used to work on his people skills a little bit, like... He'd get a lot more followers if he was just a little more, open and approachable.
Put all suggestions in the suggestion box.
Yeah.
We'll see you on Casual Friday. Bring $20 to wear jeans.
Hi, Baxter.
Holy shit.
Oh,
I just
hello.
now I just want a bunch of orcs like wearing jeans hanging out.
I do like that on Kotaku, they were like, hey, let's not forget to point out that last year during a quarterly earnings call, he said that after 2019 was a record year for Activision Blizzard, they would also be laying off 800 workers.
I wonder if those 800 people also got his phone number. Be like, hey, Bobby, I still don't have a job.
Yeah.
This is just my daily...
Who's thinking of unionizing? 10,000 people with your phone number.
So as you can see, Baxter has joined us because he is lonely.
That is just fine.
Yeah, he's for those of you who are like, why is this cat so big? He's a Maine Coon, so he's like a dog-sized cat.
Not like a normal dog either, like golden retriever.
No, I like a small dog, like a. Oh, hi, buddy.
I mean, Jade is smaller than him.
Jade is much smaller than him. He's like 2 Jades.
Yeah. It's like it's bigger than a Jack Russell, even like let's say a Basset Hound or a Cocker Spaniel.
No, some Lunatic 93 says beagle sized. I think that might be right.
All right,
like a beagle, like a small. I'm not sure because I don't own any of these dogs, so it's very hard for me to consider him.
It depends on what you consider to be the extent of the cat. Does the cat include the cat's fur or just the actual body of the cat?
Like if you've lifted Baxter, he's like
he's so skinny.
Yeah, but there's lots to him. Like there's and he doesn't weigh as much as a Welsh Corgi. But then again, a Welsh Corgi is essentially just a muscle sausage with legs.
Yeah,
and that's not Baxter, right? He's a loose bag of organs that finds its way into places he shouldn't.
Baxter is pretty like Baxter is like a large cat, but he's not like a fat cat. He's never. I think he weighs. I think we like the last time I took him to the vet, he weighed like 16 or 17 pounds.
Yes. The guess was accurate. It's like making a guess in my head, and I'm like,
maybe 15 or 16.
It's like I used to have hamsters. I had 2 teddy bear hamsters, and one was a short hair and one was a long hair. And if you looked at them, they looked like they were approximately the same size. But if one got wet, it was like half the size of the other.
Oh, hey, Gap Filler says if I don't mind, if I could give a cat update. Speaking of cats, how is Cavern? Well, Cavern, turns out Cavern has some kidney disease. And also on top of that, he got like an infection in his mouth, so he wasn't eating. So he got very sick and lost a lot of weight in like a few days. So we took him to the overnight vet hospital and had him stay there for a couple of days. And they've given us, oh God, I've got so much cat hair on my face right now. They've given us various instructions and like foods and stuff to help him do better. We're giving him saline injections every 2 days. But he was doing very, very poorly and very, very bad, and was very sick. We got so when we took him home from the vet, we had like appetite stimulants and painkillers and like all of these things. And he's not really needing the appetite stimulants anymore. And I'm not giving him the painkillers either, because if he doesn't need the appetite stimulants, he's probably feeling fine enough to eat. So why give him medicine if he doesn't eat it? My vet's also okay with this. I called my vet and I was like, if he's eating, I don't need to give him this, right? And they're like, no. So they're going to see him next week and do more blood tests and stuff. But he's actually like really perked back up and is like back. He woke us up at 7 a.m. this morning because he was hungry and lonely.
Ah, good. So
he's back to his old ways.
I feel that's like 75% of like with animals. It's like as long as they're eating, healthily, then that's like already you're way ahead. It's like, okay, things are going pretty good.
Yeah. If the animal's eating, then they're feeling okay. Because when animals stop eating, that's the bad time. So I think what happened is he stopped eating because of his mouth, and it like kicked and it really hammered him because his kidneys are already bad. It probably terribly accelerated what was going on with his kidneys, because he'd been sort of losing weight for a while, but like was just getting a little skinnier, but didn't seem sick or anything like that. And then, it was probably like a 1-2 punch to the poor dude who's 16, eating and shitting. He's definitely shitting.
You know how it is.
You know how it is with 16-year-olds.
Yeah. Just constantly on the phone, shitting.
Hello, Baxter. Hold on.
Oh, there's good news.
Very content cat face on screen.
Snug. The last little bit of news is that Formula E, which if you don't know, is it started a few years ago. Actually, it's Formula One, but with electric cars, basically, is what they're sort of. It's the electric car racing division. And they've done all sorts of kind of interesting things over the years to sort of try to bring things onto the internet and stuff. They've had like votes for different things that can help out the drivers and stuff. Actually, I like legitimately like stuff where people like there's like a vote beforehand, and that the driver that gets the most votes like can get a legit like boost, as in like they have more battery, they get like a little bit more battery power. It's quite weird.
Yeah.
But anyway, so like all the other racing things, they're also moving online. They're using a different they're not using iRacing, they're using a different client, which is apparently one that they have actually used before. One of the things that they're doing that's a little different is they're doing something called they're sort of calling it like a battle royale style thing, which sadly is not that the racetrack keeps getting smaller. But basically it's like every lap or every couple laps, the person in last place is eliminated.
Right.
I have heard of this as a racing style before, actually. Yeah.
I'm assuming not, with
Extreme prejudice.
extreme. I'm assuming they just leave their. They don't. They don't actually get exploded or anything.
No,
They'd
it's like
probably
an
get-
anime. Like a chasm opens up and their cars like just crash into a canyon.
Yeah.
A ramp opens in the thing and they just drive down into hell.
Yeah.
I imagine they just get black flagged off the lap. Like it's like if you cross the line last year, like you get black flagged. It's like you gotta, you get to move off. So, yeah, that's cool though. I mean, it's adopting an idea that is popular as an esports thing, but yeah.
But yeah, it's fascinating that we talked about this before with the real life drivers, because that's been a thing for a little bit. Like the simulation video games, then people who do really well in the simulation video games have actually become real physical race drivers, and so now we're going the other way.
I would love to. I mean, I would, though they probably would never agree to it. I would love to see real life drivers face off in tournaments against professional esports drivers, and then the vice versa. Because I think that the professional esports drivers would obviously, they'd be like, well, I know how the game works. I know how everything's supposed to work. It's supposed to be a realistic simulation. I'll probably have really good equipment. But there's a level of fear that you lose when you're not in a car going 245 miles an hour towards a wall.
Yeah.
And it would definitely be like, I'm sure, a very big difference in what those races would look like. Because I bet you the professional drivers keep up with the esports drivers very well, but not as well in real life.
And people in chat are saying that has actually been that's been happening. That they've
cool.
they've been adding esports people into the drivers. So
in F1 it looks like. That's awesome.
Huh.
So yeah, it's we're there. It's I could never. I mean I don't drive, so I certainly wouldn't. But just that thing, like even in like doing like little like go-kart racing around tracks and stuff. The idea of when you get to the point where you're like you actually want to go faster, like into turns, to give yourself more grip or whatever.
Right.
So they talked about on Top Gear that too, where like F1 cars rely so much on their speed to get the downforce so that they have traction, so that if they go slow, they crash. They have to go. It's like you have to go at 200 miles an hour or whatever, or else you will crash. That's insane.
Yeah, the whole idea of you lose control if you're actually not going fast enough is very it's not antithetical, but it is
counterintuitive.
It is counterintuitive. That is the idea. Yeah, it was cool watching that episode of Top Gear too, watching them just go out of control because they were like, we couldn't get our speeds up.
One more thing actually to do with well, this is not actually like new, or this is apparently Valorant, the game, in non anti-cheat news, there was this amazing thing that apparently was a glitch in Valorant, but it sounds like it's something that could have been just a feature of the game.
Okay.
But one of the characters has a like a camera drone that they can throw and like attach to a wall, and then you can watch people.
Okay.
And one of the things it can do is it has a little dart gun on it, and you can dart people, and then with tracking devices, so that you can then track them in the game.
Okay.
And so that's a whole thing. And there was something that was apparently a glitch, was you could also, if you just threw your pistol at this drone, so you can throw your, I guess, your gun. If you threw it at the drone would hold the pit, like it would connect to the drone, and now instead of shooting this little dart, your drone would shoot the pistol. And so there's all these videos of people like basically like watching stuff through the drone camera and then just shooting everybody with the pistol.
That's hilarious.
But apparently that it's hard to imagine how that could happen by mistake. because
Yeah.
you have to like have it pick up, have it like be able to receive weapons, which it seems like that would be an odd thing to build in if that wasn't intentional. But so they in the latest update they removed that, which made people sad. Probably people who weren't playing that character, they were fine with having that change, and it was probably like super unbalanced, but still silly.
I've done a quick read of that World of Warcraft fan server story. Oh, there's a pussycat.
He's gone to sleep. It's really hard to see. Let me see if I can get a better photo.
Are you going to be okay without an inhaler?
I'll be fine.
Okay.
I took an allergy pill this morning. I'm sort of in a constant battle with my cat allergies now. It's brutal.
I feel like all like everybody's pets in this time are like, are you okay? Why are you still here?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a better photo. There we are.
Maybe they're...
It's hard to get in focus on the screen, but...
They're like, it's very sad that you're gone all the time, you know, and I'm happy when you come back. But to be honest, I kind of need my space.
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't you leaving?
I can tell you Baxter is this clingy today because we obviously have been really worried about Cavern. We took him to the vet, and Baxter is like, he smells different and is like scared of Cavern now and is hissing at him still, and it's so irritating. But because I've been like fussing over Cavern and making sure everything is okay now, Baxter's like, you haven't had any time to give me love, and I don't want to come and give you love if you're sitting beside the weird cat that smells strange.
Oh my god.
So like, yeah, he's been very sad and lonely, and so he's been coming and doing this stuff like this more, just like, I'm just gonna come and sleep on you.
Yeah.
That would be freaky. Like, imagine like your buddy your roommate that you live with gets taken away, and then somebody else gets brought back that look exactly the same but smells different.
Yeah.
And you know, smell is the way you identify people a lot, and it's just like,
you say that like smell is not the way you identify people, Paul. Is that not the way most people identify other people?
No.
I mean, I tend to go with the visual first.
Okay. Me too. Yes.
Maybe it's like subconscious that if people drastically change their smell, I would be like...
I mean, let's be fair. Some of our friends have a different smell than some of our other friends.
It's true.
Right? You know, some people smell like, you know, a certain kind of shampoo or something like that, you know, and then... Or like a little bit mintier or a little bit like more, you know, muskier or whatever, right? Coffee, right?
Yeah.
I'm constantly worried that I smell.
I will say less smell and more like sound and stuff. But like I can definitely often, like back when we were, you know, in the moon base, when somebody like walks into the room, and even if I'm not looking, I can often tell who just by like how they move and stuff. You can often like get a pretty good idea of who it is.
I think you've done that to me like twice now. Where I walk into a room, it's like, hey, Beach, and I'm like, you haven't even looked at me.
Yeah. But of course, it doesn't matter now. People can smell however they want.
Mm-hmm.
Until we invent smell-o-vision.
This World of Warcraft story you posted is fascinating because I thought it was going to be the headline on Kotaku is World of Warcraft fan server, this is Elysium, unleashes days-long virtual plague to teach COVID-19 prevention. And I just got like this, like the hair on the back of my neck kind of just stood up. I'm like, oh no, what's this going to look like? Because I don't always give people the benefit of the doubt that when they try to do something to teach people something, that they're actually like doing it in a way that maybe is fully thought out.
I think not giving people the benefit of the doubt or not giving video game people the benefit of the doubt is a large portion of what CheckPoint is about.
Yeah. But it's fascinating because they started this they started an event on Elysium called Pandemic in Azeroth, and so it works like this, and they acknowledge it was ambitious and risky. Without warning, Elysium's admins dropped a virus into the game world that within 15 hours infected over 2,000 players. Within 24 hours, the number jumped up to 7,000, and at its peak, the virtual illness impacted 88% of active players. After they spread the virus, then the admins let everybody know what was happening. And it was a virus had been placed in an in-game object. One player touches that object, then interacted with other people, like got near them, and then those people had a chance of contracting the virus. This included NPCs. Then you could also, if that person touched other objects, it would also spread to those objects. And if you came into contact with anything with the germ on it, if you didn't go to a city and wash your hands using a special hand soap item, your character would contract an illness that led to a 5% stat reduction and 10% movement speed debuff, and you'd also become a carrier to infect other players. So once they showed all that off, and everyone's like, what the hell's happening? They reset it. They got rid of the virus, and the admin said, we're going to tell you what just happened. Like, we basically did an entire exercise that kind of forced you to participate. So we're going to reset this, and now we're going to give you quests that, this is really neat, themed around containing COVID-19's orc-infecting twin, and it involves doing social distancing. It involves, like, you're still going to have to go out and do the things you have to do, but now you have to stay a distance away from people. Wearing face mask items, scrubbing objects and vendors with an antibacterial cleanser item. So I guess you walk up to a vendor with a giant toothbrush and whatever. But
actually, just to clarify, there's a very famous incident called the Blood Plague that happened in the real official Warcraft a few years ago that has actually been studied as a way to look at how an epidemic can spread, because it actually spread very similarly to a real world epidemic. This is a different thing that was specifically set up.
And they didn't want to, and in fact in the article it states that they didn't want to just replicate that. They're like, no, we don't want, we're not trying to kill people, we're trying to show people how terrible this thing is, and how you, like, to teach you the reasons why you don't want to get infected with, the reason why you don't want to get, like, become part of a pandemic, right? Because you're already part of a pandemic. Let's be fair. All of us are already part of a pandemic.
Well, the really cool part though is that, so they did it, and something like 88%. So the idea is that they started with basically one person.
Yeah.
And 88% of the server got infected. And then they told everybody about it, and then said you can do all this stuff to prevent it, social distancing and all this stuff. And then released it again, and 42% got infected.
Yeah.
So less than half got, and it was just sort of to illustrate that this stuff is actually, the social distancing, the staying at home, the washing hands, all this kind of stuff can be very effective, and apparently has been quite effective in the real world,
and that's
but has to continue.
It's kind of also like, because you don't have to think of it just in terms of COVID-19. You can think of it in terms of, like, the flu. And we deal with that every year for Desert Bus, right? The idea that flu season's starting up at the same time we're going to invite people from all over the world to come volunteer for Desert Bus.
I mean, we can't force anyone to get a flu shot, and not everyone is able to get a flu shot, which I think is important to remember. Yeah. But we basically say, look, if you are coming and you are able to get a flu shot, please do so, because the last thing you want to do is bring a virus that may not affect you but could hurt someone else along, because we're all working very close quarters. And it's pretty much like hey, if you're coming and you get sick, you are sent home. You do not get to come in and work sick at Desert Bus, because we did that one year and we'll never do it again.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't at Desert Bus I was only at the first couple of days of Desert Bus this year because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That wasn't the flu. That was just a cold. But but it's there is every reason to expect that at some point we will have a COVID-19 shot.
Did you have a Desert Bus where a running gag was licking things? Yes, that was also the Desert Bus where a lot of people got sick afterwards.
I feel like there's two things. You can't make a correlation like that.
Correlation's not causation, but there's a lot to feel suspicious about.
Yeah, Baxter. The only thing that should be licked is cat treats, right?
I feel like cats don't exempt anything from being licked.
No, I'm so allergic to cats, she says, snuggling a huge cat and giving it kisses.
Actually, as one final story, that something that has I've seen come up on a few occasions now. The term corona did not used to be something that would be a concerning term.
Yeah, it used to be part of the sun.
Yeah.
Or a kind of mediocre beer.
Oh
And-
yeah, that was a
Just
beer
someone's
once.
last name.
Yeah, and for instance, in the new Magic set that's coming out, there was a card that they're having to reprint, because it was like Godzilla Corona Fire or something, which is the legitimate name of the thing, and
Yeah.
they're like, oh, yeah, Space Godzilla Death's Corona. Is the legitimate name. That was Death's Corona was the name of the thing, and then anyway, there's a guy whose name is Joao Corona, who's a League of Legends player. That's his name, and he went by the username Corona, or he went by the username Squid Corona, and then just like about a year ago, finally got just Corona as his name because it became available, and then he had his like account suspended, and he's like, they said he had to change his name, and he's like, but this is my name. I don't want to change. Like this is actually my name. But it's now become that. So I think he's actually had his account reinstated now, and they're trying to work out whether there might be some sort of special dispensation they give to this guy.
What if they just call him Mr. Corona? So it's clear it's a name.
I don't know if that would be.
Corona, no relation.
Ah.
Poor guy. It's
But,
like people who have like the name Dick in their name, right? And it's like you can't. That's not a cool enough name. Thank you, Ian Erasers.
Yeah. I remember. I think like a month ago or whatever, when when the late night shows were still in their things and stuff. There was a lot of jokes about, because I think Corona, the beer company, like just did like a big marketing push in like February for like a new product, which obviously I probably didn't turn out great for them. They came up with like their own, some sort of new product, and it obviously they are in a bad position now.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate when your name happens to coincide with something
With a great plague?
with a great plague. Yeah, it's like not the best comparison.
No.
It's like, does our existing name recognition outweigh the new, name recognition? But anyway, I think, was that all of the things?
Yeah, that seems about it.
So yeah, that was all the news that we thought was worth talking about in terms of video games, anyway. And like you said, some of the stories that we read today will be up in the actual CheckPoint episode, in a very professional, more streamlined version on the YouTube channel tomorrow, with Graham and Kathleen as your hosts.
And a green screen as the unsung hero.
Yes. Yeah, I love that you, at least the last couple ones, you've had little things showing the actual like filming setup. And also, there have been people I've seen questions, and people have asked me whether you are actually doing it in the studio or not. So clearly, the green screen is working.
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating.
All right, let's read some subs.
Yeah.
Should I try to hold up Baxter so people can look at him more while we read subs? I feel like he's the true star of this stream.
First, let's quickly talk about upcoming stuff, because there's some fun things coming. We got LRMTG starting at 2:00, which I think are they? I believe they're going to be starting to play Ikoria at this point.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't check out any of the streamer event stuff yesterday, there's all sorts of silly things happening with that. And then on Thursday evening, Ian is going to be doing some more Lego computery stuff. He's been rebuilding his like childhood Lego sets in the like Lego builder thing that has like a thing where you can actually like build stuff with real Lego parts, and then presumably I guess like buy those if you want to redo it. So that's what that's on Thursday. That's on tomorrow night, or no, tonight. Sorry. And then tomorrow morning, Graham continues his Final Fantasy VII original remake or original playthrough, original style Final Fantasy VII, which I think he's definitely on disc 2 now, I believe.
Yes, he did the big plot thing at the end of disc 1.
Ooh. And then on Friday afternoon, we have a bonus stream of Receiver 2, which I believe Alex is going to be playing.
Oh, cool.
Which I don't know anything about. I think it's a horror. I think it's a horror game.
Oh, all right.
But it's one that I know Alex was very excited about, so he wanted to do a bonus stream with that.
And then on Saturday.
On Saturday.
Oh wait.
Oh no! Wait.
Wait.
On Friday night.
Friday night.
Friday night, we have Canadian Highlander, and this will be not in Magic Arena. This will still be digital, but it'll be in Mitgo, Magic the Gathering Online. We're gonna have it'll be Ben Wheeler and Serge and Cam and Jer, I believe,
Cool.
are going to be playing Canadian Highlander, doing challenges back and forth and stuff, and playing it in the Mitgo client allows them. They have the biggest selection of cards, so that should be a lot of fun. And then there's a lot of Magic this week because on Saturday it's the Ikoria pre-release thing. We probably need to come up with a better name for it. Post pre-release. It is going to be it should be a lot of fun. Obviously, we can't do a normal pre-release, but instead, what we're doing is it's going to be in Arena, but it's going to be an all-day event starting at 9 a.m. and going to 9 p.m. Full 12-hour, and it's going to be there's going to be 6 different combinations of, we have a loading ready run crew member and then 2 guests, and then a different crew member and 2 different guests. So we have a whole ton of guests, whole ton of crew members, and so you're going to be able to see all sorts of different people playing Ikoria, and so it should be a ton of fun, and it allows us to get some people some of our favorite people from pre-releases, and some people who we've never been able to get for pre-releases because they've been busy.
The timing's just never worked out or something.
Yeah, haven't been able to fly down or whatever. So that'll be a lot of fun. So that starts at 9 a.m. and goes all day on Saturday. So check that out. And then on Sunday, Rhythm Cafe. Heather and Ian are going to be playing Crypt of the Necrodancer. And then on Monday, more Play It Forward. And Monday evening is going to be Dice Friends, where
the return
of Dice Friends, where we will be continuing our Toon campaign, Farmer McFarmson's farm place. So
it's the pre-release at a normal release day. We didn't change the name because branding, says
Yes.
Graham, or it says Kokoshi
Exactly.
Graham.
So
No.
that's what's
Goodbye.
coming up, and
I must you around too much.
that's what's coming up. Lots of cool stuff. As always, check out loadingreadyrun.com/live. That's the place to go to look at the schedule. Obviously, with stuff going on these days, the schedule can be a little bit more in flux than it is normally. But
Yeah.
We'll try to give people plenty of warning. I do want to apologize because there is we were going to do that Animal Crossing bonus stream on Sunday, and then it moved to Monday because of Cavern's health issues. I'm not sure if people can see. It doesn't show up on camera at all. But I am just
oh yeah, we can see that.
Coated in cat hair. Like, oh my god. I am so covered in cat hair. Ah.
Yeah, that's why Cavern's left, and he's like, my job is now, or Annika's, or my job is now done.
Yeah, that's a whole lot of cat hair. I mean, that's a whole lot of cat.
All right, let's welcome the subscribers.
There are definitely plans to play more Jackbox because we love it, and so does everybody else.
And there'll probably be more Animal Crossing streams as well. Don't worry about that. There's also lots on the team channel as well. So go check out the Lonely Reader and team page, because that will also show you people who are also doing Animal Crossing streams. Start us off.
Yeah, starting with Elf Owl Girl for 46. All right, Elf Owl Girl 46 for 26 months. Thank you very much.
Welcome back to Haven Jund or Yunda for 76 months. So many months, really big number there. Really like it.
Wow. And also thank you to Chi7891.
And who I believe is, we can wish a happy birthday to as well.
Happy birthday!
So yeah, let's do this. Noodles15, Xanarat, Pip Posit, Tarnius, and Caldurin.
2 players, 1 controller. Wereweasel, Jordy Bear TT.
Namboto, Refractor, 4 AM Donuts, Head Cannon.
Super Dude 097, Next Level Tabletop, SSJ E Joel.
Valdenzar 24, I'm in love with a goat.
JD Kirkham 03, BioBuster, Gritty Gramps.
Bobby McBob 33, Chavo, Fuzz Bubbles, Johnny S.
Hemantis, been here for 44 months. Welcome back.
The Old Badger, gifted by Farabetter 27. Hey, hold on, that makes 36 gift subs.
Grass Vortex, Pyro KLD, Ofinity.
For 6 years, yes, 72 months. Congrats.
Whoa. Danye Lewis, 80.
Welcome back to 2 men in a horse costume sharing this 1 sub for 15 months.
That doesn't seem like physical distancing.
It's a really long horse.
I'm just imagining it's like 6 feet between the 2 of them, and then you need the space for the person on either side. So it's like a 12-foot long horse.
Yeah.
Thank you for subscribing. Kyle Larson is a naughty boy. And Hot Cooking Mama, which were both gifted by the Maricat.
Thank you, the Maricat.
Quanji for 3 months. Thank you.
Dilbert, back for 46 months. Welcome back.
H.L. McClen has been here for 32 months. Thank you.
Turnip Chamber, Sugar Daddy, your Tinder date.
Is...
What
yeah, could you get, like, I feel like you could almost get the whole...
Suitably Epic for 75 months. Welcome back.
And it's your friend and mine, That Which Never Was, who's been here for 2 years.
The Green Monster 450 for 39 months.
Baxter, Cavern, welcome to the channel. Thanks, the Maricat.
The correct spelling. Baxter, do you want to leave? No? Okay.
I like how your background is just that loop of Graham walking in on a Zoom call.
Yeah. It's a really good green screen we've got behind us. Floofies has been here for 10 months.
Rain 2123 for 9 months.
Boop.
9?
And 420.
420. Oh. I didn't remember what the other one was. H-Bomb and Frenzy Block Contingent Cat, thank you so much for 369. bits.
The bits, the bits.